Hey everybody, it's Marcus Went again with Awareness Branding Consulting, and today's video is about how much does it cost to start up your business. So I really love to talk about this topic because all the last videos that we've done in regards to starting a company, it's now come down to this, how much does it cost to start your business? And we're going to begin this with a formula that we use when we're starting a service or a tangible product business. And I had the list written down right here. And the first step are the pre-opening and startup costs, right? When I refer to, what we refer to when we say pre-opening is the documentation, the paperwork, the shareholders agreement, getting on the, creating your LLC or your C Corp on the portals within your certain state. All those costs, making sure, these are one-time costs. Well, they're one-time costs starting up, and then most states have you pay annual renew costs, right? C Corps have, for example, in Las Vegas, the C Corp costs $750, I believe. I think that's what we paid this year to renew, and you're good for another year. And the LLCs are like $350 or $375 or something like this. So just make sure you know that there's initial startup costs for your shareholders agreements, your membership agreements, any other documentation that you need done by a lawyer, signed by everybody, your articles of incorporation or your membership partnership agreements through the portals. All that has costs. Our second step are the borrowing costs. Are you going to borrow money from friends, families, banks? If so, what are the interest rates? What are your monthly payments going to be? Are you doing everything in exchange for equity? Get that down on paper. Our third step is the initial technology and software costs. Every business needs some sort of software when they're starting their companies from scratch. Your accounting, your marketing software, any automation software, CRMs, phone services. There are monthly costs that are going to come into play here. So make sure you have that down in your Excel sheet before you launch. What's that going to look like month to month? If it increases, what do you think it's going to increase by? 10% each month, 50%, 5%? Our next one are logistics costs. Logistics costs apply mainly to service-based business. Tangible product-based businesses. Let's say you manufacture overseas in China, Vietnam, Africa, Indonesia, Mexico. Making sure that you understand the import taxes, if there are any tariff agreements, there are customs duties to pay, your fulfillment center, what your UPS, your FedEx, your DHL, what are these monthly costs, how much are they going to increase as your volume goes up, etc., etc. Get those initial costs down on paper on your Excel so you have kind of an overview of what you can expect the first 12 months. The last two are employee expenses and marketing and advertising. We're not saying that you have to have employees when starting a company off the ground. I like doing that immediately, having employees or making them shareholders, because I'm not ego driven in terms like, I built this, I don't have any shareholders, I don't have to share with anybody. For me, it's the infinite mindset. Building legit businesses is about team building, leadership, and having partners, right? And for me, taking the least path of resistance is always going to be preferred, since this will not be the only business that we own. We already own other businesses, and the quicker that you can get there with making the least amount of mistakes, the better, right? I'm not discounting or taking away credit from anybody that's built their business to billions of dollars with $500 out of their garage and they're still 100% shareholder. Fantastic. That is amazing achievement. I'm not wired that way. I probably never will be. I'm always going to launch my companies with partners or people that are willing to, I don't care about equity as much, because equity is just part of an infinite mind. It's the infinite game, right? And we've preached the infinite game and the infinite mindset that Simon Sinek, his book that he published, because it makes so much sense, right? Don't get caught up on that stuff. Again, there's no right or wrong answer. This is just a formula that we follow. There are plenty of formulas out there to follow. This is just what we do for ourselves. So when it comes to employees, we have the fixed costs. How much is it going to cost? Are you paying them monthly, or are they going to be putting in their time in exchange for equity? Put that down on a sheet. And like I said, last but not least, we have the marketing and advertising costs here on our list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our 7-step formula that we use is marketing and advertising. Again, there's always an initial marketing and startup costs for getting your product out there. Are you using, the cost to design, the cost to go to a trade show perhaps, email marketing, SEO, Facebook ads. I mean, it can get really, really in depth. Just make sure you figure out what you're going to do over the next 12 months, a content strategy, right? Figure out what you're going to do over the next 12 months, put that down on the paper. Whatever that total is, that's what that total is going to be. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to break down some of these internal costs in terms of one-time and ongoing costs, variable costs, fixed costs, the essentials and the optional costs, because these are all important in that initial 7-point list that we created or that we just explained. So a lot of things that we did with our startups is we go to appsumo.com, and I've mentioned this before, so you can get lifetime deals to where you pay one time instead of paying monthly, and that's it. But then there's other costs where you can't find lifetime deals, like let's say using RingCentral or any other phone service that doesn't have a lifetime deal, or other software that you have to pay the monthly cost. So making sure that you understand that there's going to be recurring costs month to month. What is that going to cost every 12 months, right? And as you add more software, that just goes up. So you have to keep track of those ongoing versus the fixed costs. And then the one-time costs, which are the lifetime deals, and then the ongoing costs / fixed and variable type stuff. Again, rent is a fixed cost, utilities, employees, all these things. So making sure that you're categorizing the list of 7 things that I mentioned into fixed, variable, ongoing, one-time, that type of stuff. And then we also have the essentials. Sometimes what happens is, and we see this a lot more in the service industry, let's say a carpet cleaning company, a construction company, like, oh, I need a new truck. But it's like, but can you afford to have the new truck yet? Yes or no? There are some costs that are essentially you need to have it, and other things are like, yeah, it would be nice to have a new truck, but if it's going to put your cash flow in a crunch, just hold off. Keep building the business. As long as the truck's good and you can keep it maintained, just hold off on that. So keeping a clear distinction between fixed, ongoing, variable, essential, and optional costs, very, very important, because if you don't have that clear insight to it, you'll be out of money before you know it, and you won't know why. So that's very important. Again, on the list here I have another thing that I wanted to talk about, which is how to estimate these types of costs, right? Estimating the types of costs based on the type of business you're in. And there was a really cool data statistic that we were able to get off the SBA. So it was micro businesses, then it was like your home-based businesses, and you have like the medium / large, and you have like the mega large, right? So they're saying that the home-based businesses, or micro businesses, around $2,000, $3,000 to start off like a micro business. Then you have the home-based businesses, which would be anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. We're talking carpet cleaning, electrician, plumbers, things like this. Where the other ones, the micro business, were kind of like maybe an Etsy shop type thing. And then you have like the medium or buying established business, like a franchise, for example. This can range anywhere, or like a firm like we're doing, a consulting branding firm like us, anywhere between $10,000 to $100,000. And then you have the large projects where maybe it's a SaaS and you're a $1 billion valuation company, right? You need a shit ton of money to build up the software, the infrastructure, or your tangible product business, manufacture industrial cleaning equipment. That can be anywhere between $250,000 up to the millions. So it really depends on what you're doing. But just to give you a little bit of insight, that's what the SBA statistics show. We spent, I think it was $15,000 or $12,000. Yeah, for us to get awareness branding consulting off the ground, it cost about $12,000 to $15,000, if I'm not mistaken, maybe a little bit less, for us to get it off the ground, right? Getting it off the ground is we were able to start generating revenue, and then we were taking the profits off our sales and putting it back in the company to self-fund it. That is what we have for the estimated costs. Okay, and last but not least, we're going to talk about cash flow and exploring additional financing options, right? So cash flow, a lot of business owners, when they start off, they don't understand the concept of having a solid cash flow reserve. We've made this mistake in our earlier careers because you get excited, you want to scale, you want to build it, you want to have an impact, but without money you cannot run a business, right? Typical cliche phrase is it costs money to make money, right? You have to spend money to make money. That's why they always say before you start your business to have 1 to 3 months in reserve in case something bad happens or there's a certain emergency. That's not always the case for people, and that's why I'm going to get into the financing options, because some people start their businesses out of their home and they don't have a previous job to where they're able to save their money, and maybe their families don't want to help, so they're going different places. Again, they still need to have the reserves or have access to money to stave off a bad month or a couple bad months, so they can recover and build their business. We always want to make people understand that it's risky to start a business, right? It costs money, and The way to mitigate that is by having the clear formula, like I said in the beginning of the video, understanding where your costs are going, your essentials, your non-essentials, and then when it comes to that cash flow, making sure that you have that reserve in place so that you don't go under, or you don't need to perhaps get yourself in a deeper hole through the other methods, which could have been avoided had you properly planned. Again, cash flow is something that's very overlooked by most people. Keep an eye on it. That's why you need to have your accounting in place, have your books done every month, see what your cash flow is day to day, week to week, month to month, and that's going to give you a good idea to where you need to cut costs or where you can spend a little bit more, and vice versa. So you have everything in a balance, and you don't add additional stress to an already stressful venture, because starting a business is very stressful, it's very risky, but it's also a lot of fun. And last but not least, let's finish it off with exploring the financial options. I already talked about that in a previous video. For outside money, using friends, investors, incubators, generators, accelerators, what were the other ones? Business mentors, personal savings, things like this. Just making sure that if you're going to explore these additional financing options, that it's in your first year expense, right? I'm repeating myself, but I need to drill it home, because a lot of people overlook this stuff, or they don't understand that the interest adds X amount more to it per year. And then, is it really worth it? Do you need that extra investment? Do you need that cash flow buffer? Yes, no. Again, always explore your financial options before you actually launch your business. Figure out what you're going to invest into first before you do it, so that you don't get halfway through and you go, well, shit, why didn't I do this first? I didn't know. Well, plan for it. The more planning you do for your business, the more likely you're going to be just fine when starting off, and when crises do happen, because every single business in this world has gone through cash flow issues, crises, and difficult times. But if you're able to be prepared for that and you're aware of that, you can mitigate that so it's not as stressful or as sleepless nighty, or right, you know what I'm trying to say, for you as a business owner, and you can continue to move forward and go towards your objectives and your vision and stuff like that. So again, hopefully this video was insightful. Feel free to leave your comments in the section, like, subscribe to our channel. There is no fixed cost when it comes to starting your business. There's variables, things change, but again, it can be anywhere from $100 or $500 to starting your business to millions. So it all depends on what niche you're in, what product, what service you're providing, how many people are coming on board right away, etc., etc. So follow our guide, check out our blog again at awarenessdigital.com/blog. You can see the actual article about this topic written there. And again, thank you for tuning in, and we hope you enjoy, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. Have a great day now. Bye.